Alright, welcome back. Now I do have some good news. My hard drive with over 80 gigabytes of footage, not only just EVE but other games included, has been recovered, or should I say the PC is working now, and thankfully the issue wasn't with the hard drive, the issue was with the CPU of that PC. I don't know why, but over the last 2 or 3 years, I think I've burned like 4 or 5 different CPUs, which is kind of becoming a bad habit of mine. But in any case, that problem's been solved, so I'm going to be able to finally put the footage in use, and I hope that I'm not going to be too lazy in this weekend. I hope that I render those 4 or 5 videos that I planned to make a couple of weeks ago for EVE Echoes, with some very interesting encounters that we've had. But with that being said, today we will be doing what am I even doing here? Oh yeah, I had a issue of bad internet, I guess. Bad connection likes to pop in from time to time, and as you could see there, the screen was a little bit unresponsive there for me until I switched to the Stratius, that is. Anyway, so the first target for today will be a Machariel, I believe. Now let me see, which one of these ships should I take? I'll just go and take the Dominant Navy. I actually think that I should start to collect some of my other battleships over here. After all, I don't really enjoy flying the Dominant Navy that much, but honestly, in some cases, this thing actually is the better choice, and I believe in this case, taking the Dominant Navy was actually the smart thing to do. So, it is a Machariel, and as we have already seen from our long-term experience that we have in the game, the Machariel usually isn't a ship known for tank. Angel ships are known for speed, for their DPS, agility, stuff like that, but tank isn't really something that's quite the phenomenal thing on angel ships. Now you can make them tanky, obviously, you can definitely make them tanky, but I personally never really felt like a tanky angel ship was performing up to my standards, so that's why I don't really have any tanky angel ship of my own. I usually fly them full DPS and speed. Now, this is actually a fairly decent, actually I take that back, 43 kilometers. When I initially landed, I thought to myself, this ship is going to warp off. No way that I'm going to be able to catch this Machariel on time. And I think they did attempt to enter warp. However, somehow I did manage to get within range, within pointing distance, and the Machariel has been pointed. For some reason, 3 of my disruptors just didn't activate. It's happening quite a lot, actually. Thankfully one did, and one was enough to hold the Machariel from warping. Now let me... Why are my disruptors not working? I just noticed that. I clicked on them like 5 times and they just don't want to work. That was the first Bombard cycle. Now that Machariel did have a extender or a shield generator. We will see that. Hopefully we will see that in the build. But it actually did take 2 Bombard cycles to... Actually, I take that back as well. The Machariel did take 2 full Bombard cycles on the shield, and the shield did survive. On a little bit, but it did survive, so... That's a very good shield tank. That's a very good shield tank on the Machariel. I'm taking some shield damage as well, but this is a navy. Navies do have a little extra on shield and armor resistance, so I'm definitely going to be a bit more tankier than the usual ship, even without any tank mods. Well, that was a generator, beautiful, and it does seem like this Machariel might have had a decent tank build. Now, it wasn't an active tank, obviously, it was a passive tank, but it did take some time for me to actually go through the shield. Now, usually, a Machariel is...
Warp drive active.
Usually a Machariel is a two-shot for the Dominavy. This Machariel wasn't. 3.9 billion. Okay, solid passive tank, full resistance, triple adaptive, a reactive, a generator, and a damage control. Interesting. However, no tank rigs. Well, as you could see from this little example, even fitting in such a way helps a lot with survivability, and I usually say a proper tank is going to win against a full DPS ship if you can't break the target
Warp drive
within
active.
your ship's duration, or should I say within your ship's lifespan, which means until your ship hits hull. Yeah, you're probably going to lose that battle, and usually a proper tank is going to win against any DPS built ship. It's been like that for a while, and from
Docking
my
request
personal experience, it is pretty consistent as well. But overall, I did have... Wait a second. Did I get a DM just now? I'm very interested to see what the DM is. Now, first, 472 million ISK is the estimated value. A rare web, alright, I'll take it, and a rare damage control. Well, if there's one thing that has been pretty decent so far, it's been the loot, I guess. At least from the first encounter. Now, do we want to make bets what the DM will be about? Is it going to be a normal DM, or will it be sold? You know, I don't want to... I think we know what we're about to see here in the DM. You know, it's kind of a tradition. Yeah. Okay. That's a weird DM. Not gonna lie. Anyway, let's go to the next target. I'm not really sure if that DM was solved, but from what I've gathered later, some of you guys told me as well that there was quite the drama in help chat because of what that encounter was there with the Machariel and stuff. So yeah, welcome to Eve Echoes, where the primary loot will be that salty taste, that salty material that you find when you take the seawater and when you evaporate the seawater, the material that stays, you know, that salt taste, the material that's called salt. That's pretty much what it is. Anyway, we have a fairly rare ship, a Scorpion. I have to admit, it's been a very long time since I've personally seen a Scorpion. But here we are, and obviously I did have to include a rare ship. You don't see a Scorpion that often nowadays. Now, this Scorpion has no shield, but has full armor, which means two things: a bait Scorpion or a badly fitted Scorpion, which would be a bit sad. Yeah, it's an armor tank Scorpion. That didn't take long. After all, it's a tier 9 ship, but in any case, with Scorpions, you don't really know what the ship will be. They used to be, I am not really sure if they're still popular bait ships, but they used to be popular bait ships a couple years ago. Maybe they're still popular ships, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that it's been a very long time since I've personally seen one of these ships. I actually looked at the corporation log, at the combat log, I wrote in Scorpion. The last Scorpion that we found or we destroyed happened all the way back in March, I believe. And before that, it was like August or April of 2024. So it's
Warp drive
on the
active.
rare side, definitely, when it comes to how often you see these ships floating around. Maybe I should buy one, and maybe I should fly one a lot more often. 884 million ISK. Well, again, all of these rare webs. That's interesting. Okay, I'm not going to complain. The build, though, the build on this Scorpion is a bit weird. It is a cavalry ship, and the cavalry ship should be a shield tank, even Scorpion. Even the Scorpion should still be a shield tank, shouldn't be an armor tank. That's kind of a general rule for the cavalry ships. They have a good shields, terrible armors and terrible hulls. Usually
Warp drive active.
once the shield goes down on a cavalry ship, the ship just evaporates afterwards once you hit armor. And it's been like that for quite some time. It's definitely been like that for quite some. Maybe there's like one or two ships that don't follow that tradition, but
Docking request
actually I think there's a
accepted.
couple cavalry ships that you can armor tank that end up being actually good. But for the most part, a shield tank is what you should slap on those ships. So, next target, let's go and see which ship I'll take. Usually, that's how I know what the next target will be about. If I take a medium-sized ship, it's going to be a medium-sized target. If I take a large ship, it's going to be a big boat. No, I'm taking a Stratios. That means one thing. Our target will be a medium-sized ship or maybe a Battlecruiser, I don't know. We're about to find out. Yeah, it's going to be a Battlecruiser because I'm fitting a 4th scrambler. I really hate the fact that I have to fit like 4 scramblers on this thing.
Undocking.
But we're talking about assault Battlecruiser. It's one of the most stabbed ships in the game. So, just to be safe, I'll fit a 4 scrambler, and it is a... Okay, it should be interesting. Now, I think I
Warp drive
mentioned
active.
this in the past. I'll mention it again. But Calder, listen, I'm recording this at 1 AM with 3 hours sleep per day. So if I make some mistakes or if I sound like I'm drunk or something, I'm not drunk yet. We're saving that for weekend. But you know, I'm usually barely keeping my eyes open. So that's pretty much the reason if I
Warp
sound
drive
weird
active.
occasionally. But we do have a cavalry ship. Yeah, we do have a cavalry ship. Alright, okay. A cavalry assault Battlecruiser. So, there is no direct good warping to the Battlecruiser. That means I have to be a little bit creative and find a warping. Now, I have been doing this for maybe 6 years now, or maybe more. Actually, no. Oh, actually, you
drive
know what?
active.
Maybe I've been doing this for 6 years. In the RB days, I used to do kind of a similar approach, but with a different tactic because there is no immediate lock upon the cloaking back then, because you know this is one of the better core drop screws. But I was running around finding the perfect warping to this Battlecruiser, but it seems like that they are in such a position where even the closest warping is still not going to be the closest warping because distance is not going to be that close for me to tackle. I actually thought to do something pretty stupid and to dock, get my Ortrus and just risk to miss the target that way. And I should definitely fly the Ortrus a lot more often because I did get an implant for it, and I kind of want to fly the Ortrus a little bit more often. I'm attempting another warping from the anomaly. This might
Warp drive
work, or
active.
perhaps it's... The goal is to find the warp to the target that's going to align with the target's overall general direction. I'm usually aiming about a 10 kilometer range accuracy. to make it easier for me to creep up to the target, because
Warp
the
drive
Stratius,
active.
despite being a cruiser, at least in this game, it's one of the slowest cruisers. And my only complaint about the Stratius is definitely the speed. This thing is annoyingly slow. No, the idea was good. I would definitely land on top of the Battlecruiser, but the problem is with the range that this Battlecruiser is actually using. That's over 140-50 kilometers now. Obviously, the Dominics, the NPC Dominics that's here, did approach. So I believe that the Battlecruiser is attempting to maintain distance. They're keeping it at a range. My bet is that once the Dominics is starting to go down, they will start approaching and will fire. Yeah, that's pretty much what they've done. They approached to get within range, which means that they will fly towards me, which means that the overall closing distance, the speed at which we're closing in, will be faster. Force scramblers applied, attempting a 0 kilometer orbit, but it seems they have an afterburner, so our speeds are roughly about the same. Okay, that's a good catch. And let's take a look at the loot. Okay, I'll take the loot. I'll also take the pod with me as well. And now let's warp out. I did also unknowingly match the spawn of the new wave with my decloaking, so that they didn't have any chance to see the Stratus.
Warp drive active.
Very little chance, only if they were paying attention or if they expected the Stratus. This is a tactic that works really well for the ships that can just cloak and that decloak immediately and start locking target. That way you buy yourself a couple more seconds if needed to get close to the ship. 1.1 billion ISK. Well, Loot Fairy said no absolutely on this one. Okay. Well, Loot Fairy needs some correction, I guess. That's an unfortunately terrible loot drop, but it's fine. Was a good catch. Next, let's go and see what ship we have. Well, we have an Astro staring at us, I guess. Since I'm fitting a thermal circulation implant, that means it's Mahler time. Now, I mentioned this in the past. I mentioned it many times in the past. But the Mahler is by far one of my favorite low-tier ships, and I kinda wish that we had a Mahler 2, you know, like a beefed up version of the Mahler, like a tier 10 Mahler, or it would be a tier 10 Mahler, but the tech requirement has been removed for all of these ships. But yeah, I would definitely love to have a Mahler 2 in the game with 6% armor bonus. I mean, just the overall upgrade version of the Mahler. I would love that thing. I would guarantee you that ship would be broken. That ship would be pretty annoying to deal with, and I would love it. Wouldn't be too broken because it would have like 3 medium slots, an extra low slot, but I can nearly guarantee you that thing will be fun, and it would definitely be my favorite cruiser in the game. Right, they would probably be up there in the arbor levels of how much I would like it. No, this Caracal didn't really want to stick around much, unfortunately. I did land a little bit awkwardly. That was my fault.
Warp drive active.
But I actually did not expect the Caracal to warp. I mean, you know, if there's a ship that I just yeet about and yeet around, it's a Mahler probably. I bought this ship. I purposely made it cheap. I purposely made this thing as cheap as it can get, because I anticipated that it will pop within like the next. I expected this thing to pop within, I don't know, a day or two of me using it. Here I am,
Warp drive active.
3 years later, and it's still on the same hull, still didn't pop. That's a little bit annoying because I actually did expect to farm losses with this thing, but apparently that's not happening. Even though I use a relatively cheap fit, although to admit I also do eat the Maler at its own level, primarily because stabs. When I have a more serious target, I do pick a more serious ship. You know, for serious ships, I pick the appropriate ship to counter it. I pick the appropriate ship for the appropriate situation, basically. But obviously, I did get the Maler and some other Battlecruisers for the less serious ships because I think that I don't have to use an implant for every single ship in the game. I don't have to use a Domi Navy or the Prophecy Navy or whatever that uses an implant for any ship. I will have hopefully some occasions to use the less serious, the more fun ships, because I have to admit, and it's kind of sad that it's the case, but the implants in general kind of ruined the magical feel that the game had back in the day. No, you can still get that feel, obviously, but you have to make some compromises. You pretty much will have to play the game with these advantages on purpose. It's not impossible. It is not impossible to do that, but it's going to be definitely a bit different. You can do that. I plan to do that with some of my ships. I mean, I bought a Drake. A tanked Drake that I can't wait to drop that thing on a Prophecy, normal Prophecy, or any other Battlecruiser. And I have other ships like that. The Brutix, for example, I love the Brutix. I need to remember to set the skills for it though, because I did skill out of Railguns some time ago. I had to because I didn't really know what else to sacrifice for some of my ships, but I will have to skill them back. I'll have to skill them back, and then I have to build the Brutix. I just left the hole there because I did wait for the skills to finish first. In any case, I'm waiting for the Caracal to return. Good thing is I can afford to wait because I built this thing as an active tank, and it does get the job done really well. I mean, I have to say though, when it comes to tank, the Maler as a tier 6 is definitely overperforming. One of the best early on ships to get, actually, I would say. I have a large capacity battery. Now, how would I build the imaginary tier 10 Maler? Well, that's a good question. I would probably do a very similar build to what I have on this ship. I mean, if it's not broken, then you don't have to fix it. So I follow that philosophy quite actively. So I would fit it in such a way, and it would work. It would definitely work. I have no doubts that it would work really well. I just need to get a tier 10 mod. Hopefully we do get some other interesting crews like that. And oh, the Caracal has returned. Oh, well, someone is in trouble now, and it's not me. Even though I'm in armor, that doesn't matter. I have a dual armor repairs. That is going to be a very fun encounter near the end of this video. I think the encounter will be the weirdest today, actually. You will see what I'm talking about. I just don't know when the video will pop up, hopefully soon. Hopefully I didn't put a lot of stuff before that, because I was very confused for
Warp drive
obvious
active.
reasons. It would be pretty funny as well. That's why I kept it near the end. You will see what I'm talking about. So that was the Caracal. Was a relatively easy catch. I mean, it's just a Caracal after all. I did put a lot of effort to catch that Caracal, yes, because I don't. I mean, you know what? If you're already hunting, if you already, you know, find a ship, at least make sure, try to catch it. Doesn't matter what ship it is, you know. At the end of the day, you never know what kind of loot they can have. That's going to be very applicable to the last encounter for today. That's why I'm saying it's one of the weirdest encounters, and this is why I have these low tier ships. They're fun,
Warp drive
but
active.
sometimes, you know, it happens that you find a low tier ship that is as expensive as a faction battleship. You know, things like that do happen, and you never know when it can happen. And that's why if you're roaming around, if you find a Vexor or something like that, a Caracal, you know, check it out. You know, check
Docking
to see what
request
kind of drones
accepted.
they have. Look at the ship. You never know. Maybe sometimes, who knows? X types could drop. You never know in this game. That's why I try not to skip any ship. I just go and attempt to catch anything that flies, basically. You never know what kind of loot they can carry in the cargo hold. I mean, or what kind of modules they have inside of their ship. Alright,
Warp drive
we
active.
are going to the next target. We have a exploration frigate. It is time to feed the asteroid. Even this little thing has to get some kill marks. And we have a Heron Explorer. Perfect target for the asteroid. Let's just rush it. Let's go full speed. Launching drones. I didn't even fit the Bombard. I didn't need it. I think I don't need it. Armor hull, boom. Goodbye exploration frigate. That's a nice little jump scare. However, my luck with the loot drops on these ships hasn't been that good in a very long time. I've been saying this for months now. I need to go spend a day or two just hunting exploration ships. Take a status for a little LowSec stroll and just see what I can find, I guess. That's still, I mean, it's still a decent catch though. 289 million ISK. Not too expensive. At least the micro Warbrev is something worth. That micro Warbrev could be nice on the market, I guess. In any case, that was a nice little catch. And let's go to the next target. We have, is this the last encounter for today, or will we have a bunch of other encounters today? Depending on what ship I take. If I take the Mother, it could be the last one. We'll see. I'll definitely mention if it's the last one. Now, what ship am I going to take? Well, I'm also trying to figure that one out at the moment in this video, and I'm taking the Mother. Alright. I think this is the last encounter for today. Yeah, I think it is the last encounter. Okay, so I'm taking the Mother, and you know, I didn't. In this case, I did not
Undocking.
scout the target. I'll admit that I did not scout the target. I saw the targets and I said, okay, I'll just take the Mother. I'll just eat, you know, low tier ship. What can be weird about that, right? We have a Vexor. Let's go and see what's going around with that Vexor. And
Warp drive
we
active.
are in warp. Everything going according to plan so far. But things are going to get pretty weird pretty quickly. So when I landed first thing that caught my eye, did I see offense drones, assault drones on a tier 5 cruiser? I actually couldn't believe what I'm looking at. First, I tried to see is this a Vexor 2 maybe, or classic? It is a normal Vexor though.
Attack.
And the other interesting thing, they actually opened fire first. Now I realized one thing: they have a Machariel. I have an afterburn, so I'm not going to be fast enough to catch the Vexor. There is no way I'm going to be catching them. But those drones are way too tasty
Warp
to
drive
skip out
active.
on. So I thought to myself, okay, what ship can I take to immediately have point distance and immediately have range? Ortrus and the Enforcer are the two ships that came to my mind right away. So I'm going to take
Docking request
either the
accepted.
Ortrus or Enforcer for this particular target. Those drones are worth it. Now the thing that saves, that buys me time actually, is the fact that the Vexor opened fire first, so they have a criminal timer. There is no running away. Most players don't know that they can dock with timer. I just assume that the Vexor doesn't know that. So it is time to take the Enforcer out and let's just go and hopefully catch that Vexor. Hopefully they're still in the same spot. I mean, I have a scanner. Yeah, I have a scanner. So they can't hide.
Undocking.
I'm also faster than a Vexor. I'm not worried about missing this ship. Those drones better drop. Alright? The loot fairy better not be playing around now. Because those 4 or 5 drones
Warp drive
are
active.
expensive. And I would love to get that loot. So,
Warp drive
currently
active.
motivated by a very interesting potential ISK drop from that Vexor, I read that there they are. Now, it could be that this Vexor is a bait, also highly possible. But I have a very good solution to that bait. I have that's not a bait. Okay.
We're under attack.
I'm a little bit disappointed now because I expected at least something, I guess, but I guess we're getting some good drones today. Hopefully, crossed fingers. Let's take a look at the loot and the pod left. Okay, fair enough. Let's take a look at the loot. That's the thing that we're interested in right now. Did the drones drop? Oh, okay, some dropped and a scanner dropped on top of that. Okay, now that's one of
Warp
the
drive
more,
active.
let's say, expensive Vexors that I've seen in quite a while. If we had the old pricings, this ship would be the same price as a faction cruiser. Well, 1.09 billion ISK Vexor is definitely something, I guess. That's a very, at least most of the drones dropped. I'm not gonna complain about that. That's a very good loot drop. I think I made some decent ISK from that 1.1 billion. Well, funny enough, the ship's value is pretty much the same value that I got from loot. I love when stuff like that happens in this game.
Warp drive active.
That's satisfying, and I think I will end the video today on that encounter because that's a very satisfying ending. But with that being said, I managed to get the footage back that I thought I lost. So there is going to be a lot more videos hopefully coming up over the weekend. And well, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.